Hey guys, welcome back to some more Patreon exclusive content. I've got a very important question that I've got to answer today from somebody, and they've asked, how do you get over somebody when you've been dumped? And that is, it's a tough one, because I understand the emotions are really raw. And so just before I start going through the advice that I've got, I don't want anything that I've said here to be interpreted as flippant or as though I'm not compassionate for the pain that you're going through. I absolutely am, and I'm really sorry for all of the negative feelings that you're feeling. So what I'm talking about now is more of an intellectual layer to just layer over it to try and contextualize the pain that you're experiencing so that ultimately it's empowering for you and it doesn't cripple you. You know, sadness doesn't turn to depression, which turns to suicidal thoughts or anything like that. No, let's just try and keep it at the healthy level of sadness, something that you can ultimately get out of. So the first thing to know about breakups is that they're experienced completely differently based on whether or not you have high self-esteem and how you feel the other person, reacts to you. So there's either a situation where you feel like you were better than she was and then she broke up with you. It's like, okay, well, to be honest, I'm amazing. And the fact that she couldn't see that and that she broke up with me, that's kind of a reflection on her judgment. And I don't think I want to be with somebody who has bad judgment, who can't appreciate the kind of awesome person that I am. If that sounds unrealistic to you, keep an open mind, because I've had many consultations with guys who've told me about their exes begging to have them back because they made a bad decision. It can happen that the least desirable person in a relationship can end things with the other person. In that case, hopefully you're not too sad about it, because if you have high self-esteem, you're like, okay, well, they've got bad judgment. I'm better than that. I'll go seek somebody else. The harder situation to deal with is if you feel like the other person was better than you. Like you got a good deal and they broke up with you and now you're way worse off. However, ultimately, I don't want you to get too bummed about even that one, because let me frame it in a positive way. If the reason that she broke up with you is because she sensed that she was better than you and that you had too low self-esteem and you guys weren't, worth it together, you weren't desirable enough for her, at least then you've got something that you can work on. And that should hopefully inspire you. You think, she was amazing. She was everything that I wanted. I just needed to be better. Well, take that regret, take that anger, that frustration, whatever you're feeling, and use it as fuel to energize your growth to become a better version of yourself, the kind of person who won't get dumped by a girl. Obviously, there is a third circumstance as well, where it's not necessarily a matter of I'm better than her or she's better than me. The two of you could have broken up for some outside circumstance, like maybe one of you had to move away for a different job, or maybe there was some kind of meddling family member who prevented you from being together. And so it's really just sort of tragic. And in that situation, what's most important is that you just take the time to grieve. Now, grieving is not something that comes easily to men because it's a static kind of process. It doesn't really require movement or action. And as men, we're kind of problem solvers, there's a problem, let me fix it. Let me figure out what the right thing to do is. But emotions aren't really problems to be solved. They're just emotions to be felt. It's an experience that you have to go through. And a lot of guys, I'm in touch with my emotions. I have been for years. I've always been kind of an emotional person. And with that, I think comes a lot of wisdom. And it's difficult sometimes when I'm doing private consultations with guys, when I ask them, like, so how do you feel about that? Or what are you going through? What sort of emotions are you experiencing? And for some guys, it's like, I don't understand what you're asking me, Alex. Like, what does that even mean? They don't know how to get in touch with their emotions. And that's really sad. For a book on that, I would recommend Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. So I'll just say that again in case you want to quickly take a note. If you're looking for more resources on how to get in touch with your emotions, Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. But what is grief? Grief is the ability to let go of something that previously you were holding on to. It's like a hot air balloon. In order to be able to rise, it needs to release sandbags. This is how I think of emotions. In order for you to be able to move on to your new life, you need to be able to let go of those sandbags that are holding you down to the ground, or that are keeping you in the past, or keeping you attached to your ex. But how do you let go of emotions? Do you just focus on the positive? Do you just look forward? No, that doesn't tend to work. That just pushes the emotions underground. Emotions can only really be dealt with in one way, and that's by feeling them. Feeling is healing, and it's by the expression of emotion, by the feeling of it, that it gets released. And here's the good news, is it's released forever. you have a finite amount of emotion to feel about something, and eventually you get bored. So like, imagine as a young kid, some other child steals your favorite toy and breaks it. You will be devastated. You will cry and cry and cry. You've got a lot of emotions, but you can't cry forever. You can cry for an hour, you can cry for 2 hours. If you're really attached to that toy, you could cry for an entire week, but I guarantee at some point you'll get bored of crying. The emotion won't be able to sustain you forever because at some point you will have grieved that particular thing. So when guys come to me and they say, I'm depressed, help me get out of my depression, I'm always like, whoa, hold on. Like, let's steady for a moment. Just take a pause. I don't know who's been telling you this information that depression is just this thing you need to get over and just move past, but that's not a very helpful belief system. You need to be a little bit more nuanced than that. Why is this depression here? This might be a very essential emotion that you need to move through. And so if it's a case of, oh, well, I loved my ex-partner, but she broke up with me and I just thought that we had this really amazing future and I'm just devastated that we're not going to get to have that future. I'm like, well, that sounds like a really emotional process to go through. I can understand why you'd be upset. I think that it's important that you give yourself the respect, compassion, kindness, and space that you need in order to be able to properly process that emotion. So let's not rush it. Just take the time to grieve. And that's going to look different for a lot of people, but one absolutely essential thing that I can almost guarantee it's going to require is crying. Some guys tell me, I don't cry, or I've never cried, or I don't have the ability to cry, whatever it may be. That always worries me. I'm like, look, I understand. You're a man. You want to be tough. You want to be masculine. But my God, crying is one of the best ways to release emotions. I'm not saying doing it in front of people if you're not comfortable with that, but at nighttime, if you're not able to just turn the lights out in your bedroom and cry into your pillow and give yourself that emotional release, then you're just going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Remember, emotions are the way of processing experiences. When something sad happens, sadness is the natural response. When you see injustice, you should feel anger. When you see beauty, you should feel delight and joy. These are normal, natural responses that evolution has put into your body as mechanisms to help you understand what's going on. And so if you just say, I never cry, I never feel sad, I just focus on the future, you are not taking in what truly reality is. So feeling sad is not a problem. So I understand you want to get over your ex and feel good about yourself again, but that is a process that's going to take some time. So the next stage of the process is when you're in the sadness and the depression, that's a fantastic time to allow the beliefs that you're operating under to come up again. So for example, if you've just been broken up with, you might find that in the sadness, certain thoughts come to you like, I thought that she was the one, or I thought we were going to be together forever, or I'll never do better than her. And those thoughts is what's causing your sadness. But those thoughts are not facts. Feelings are not facts. This is just a perspective, an interpretation that you're overlaying onto reality. Was she your soulmate? Obviously not. She wouldn't have broken up with you. You can't do better? Well, that's unproven. You don't know if you can't do better. As you grow and learn from this, you might become a better version of yourself and be able to attract an even more high quality woman. You see what I'm saying? So when you get in touch with these irrational belief systems, hopefully that's your point of like, really? It's because I believe that's making me so sad? But that emotion, that belief is ridiculous. I'm not going to get that. And you're going to replace it with a much more reality-based perspective or belief system, something that actually reflects, an accurate picture of the circumstances. And then you thread your new emotions through that new perspective and that new belief system, and it's ultimately a lot more empowering. One of the recommendations I have is from Nathaniel Branden. He wrote The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem book, another book that I highly recommend everybody read, or The Psychology of Self-Esteem. He's the self-esteem guy, Nathaniel Branden, but he has this exercise called STEM sentences. And I recommend everybody try this. What it is it's the beginning of a sentence, and then you just copy and paste it onto your computer, or you write it out like 10 times, and you leave the end of the sentence blank. And this is a great way to get in touch with what you believe. So I'm sad, like my ex broke up with me and I'm sad because. My ex broke up with me and I'm sad because. And you just fill out the things. Because I believe I'll never do better. Because she was the first girl who made love with me. Because and now I have to split my money in half. Whatever it might be, that's in a divorce circumstance. You find out what it is that you believe. You take these unconscious beliefs that are guiding your life, guiding your emotions, guiding your behaviors, and you make them conscious by this process. And once they're conscious, it's like you've turned the lights on, and now you can rearrange things the way that you want. You can actually apply your logic and your masculine kind of logical thinking, your puzzle making, your problem solving, all of that to your belief systems, and replace things that are unhelpful, toxic, and irrational with something more reality based, something that's more uplifting. And the positive from all of this is that when something negative happens to you, it's almost a test of your masculine courage. Are you going to go into denial? Are you just going to say, no, that didn't happen, I'm not going to look at the emotions? Or is this another opportunity for you to stand face to face with reality and say, I will not look away. This has happened, and so I will stare directly at it until I am at peace with it. Because your self-esteem, your confidence, your inner peace should all be based on reality, never based on illusion. That is extraordinarily dangerous and it's going to bite you in the butt. If something has happened, you need to be able to unflinchingly come to terms with what's happened. What does Ben Shapiro say? He says, facts don't care about your feelings. That's probably not what I'm going for, but the facts are important. And so the strongest, most confident masculine men that I know are men who aren't like all blustering, like, oh yeah, like I'm always amazing and everybody always loves me, and it's like la la la. They just block out any dissenting voice or any kind of contradictory evidence. It's somebody who's more at peace, who barely even needs to speak, but they're able to look at all of the facts of reality and completely integrate it because they are strong enough to be able to take in all of that information. So the girl breaks up with you, your heart is absolutely broken, shattered into 1,000 pieces, you feel like you'll never be able to recover. Wow, that sucks when phrased like that, but how strong will you be if you're able to integrate that experience and go, yeah, my heart was absolutely broken, and here I am. I worked my way through it, and I'm still smiling. What kind of amazing, inspirational, awesome person will you be if you're able to do that? That's the positive spin from this. Nobody, if they do the steps properly, should be worse off after a breakup. It should be a growing experience, just more data for you to process, more organic fertilizer to grow your fruit in, whatever the metaphor is that you want to choose. It's all just fantastic stuff to feed into what ultimately is going to energize you to become the best version of yourself. Somebody who does not flinch at reality and does not indulge in irrational beliefs. That's my perspective on how to break up with somebody. Thank you for sticking with me. 12 minutes, 15 seconds. Still not able to keep these under 10 minutes, but I'm trying. Hope you've enjoyed that. Hope you found that educational, or at least entertaining, watching me get all worked up and rant away at the camera. I really appreciate your continued support here on Patreon. It means a lot to me, and I hope these videos are helping in whatever stage of your journey you are. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.